Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to my panel, Furries in VR. I'll be talking about the basics of what VR is, what you can do, what headsets to get, and also what events and groups are there out there for you to join, because being lonely in VR really isn't much of a thing today. There's plenty of events out there for you to join. I want to thank everyone in the audience and also those who are watching, and the amazing artist Jax, who drew this for me very last minute for the panel. Very grateful for that. All right, let's begin. Welcome to country. Treble in Adelaide Anthros acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land we gather and operate upon and the connection to the land and the sea. A2 runs on unceded land of the Kaurna people. We pay our respects to Aboriginal elders, past, present, and emerging. Always was, always will be. So, you want to get into VR chat. I mean, that's really why you're here for, trying to learn about how to get into VR and what even to do there. But you gotta start with the basics. What is VR? VR, or virtual reality, has been an ongoing research over the past 50 years when people in the 70s tried to see how you can recreate reality digitally, whether through lenses or screens or whatever funny ways they can get it. But there has been past attempts in getting VR working to the commercial market, namely the Nintendo Virtual Boy, which was unfortunately a commercial flop back in the 90s. Yes, we had VR back in the 90s. Unfortunately, the headset was bulky, heavy, and very tiny. Not really good to get people to immerse other than just show what was possible at the time. The current wave of VR didn't get started until 2012, 2014, when Palmer Luckey, out of his garage, decided to say, hey, technology has advanced since the 90s, why not do something new? So he created the Oculus Rift. Started in E3, he demoed it to people really excited, and over 2 years, he developed it to the point where it became an actual headset in 2016. And over the past 9 years, technology and the type of headsets that you can wear and have grown since then. And it's also a different medium to tell a story. We've had indie games, pixel art games, 3D, 2D. VR is a different medium that people can use to try and tell their story, not just confined to where you're looking, but in the world all around you. Because in VR, when you create games, you have to understand the audience isn't just going to look at one direction. They can look all around within the world. So you may have like Easter eggs where the story might not be, or have the story be whizzing by. It's definitely a medium that game developers are still trying to create games in, but over the past 4 years, the pandemic really has brought a lot of new games onto the scene, which I'll talk more on later in the panel. So, what headsets to get? There are the two main types of headsets, mainly standalone, where it is just by itself. You can play VR by itself within the headset, no need to connect to a computer, or namely the Quest 3 and the Quest 3S are the modern options you can get. They go for about $800, $500 Australian, one of the cheapest headsets around, because other headsets are tethered headsets or PC VR. They require a lot more hardware and, of course, more expensive to get things running, like base stations and cables and all the like. Regardless of what headset you get, people do still connect it to their computers in the end, whether wirelessly or cable through the standalone, or you have to through the cable. There are other PC VR headsets out there, but I wouldn't really recommend buying them because they're already 5 or 6 years old, or they're ending software support. The Valve Index on the table here, the black one, came out in 2019 from Valve themselves, and there's rumors that they might actually have a new headset coming in the next year or so. But they're about $1,800, about $2,000, which is a lot more pricier than standalone options where you can just buy it, plug in, and go without having to set anything up on the side. Or there's HP Reverb, which you can buy online, but I don't really recommend because Windows is ending support for certain headsets to be allowed to connect to them. Otherwise, you can buy headsets from EB Games, like HTC Vive, though they're about $600, $1,000. They're a lot cheaper than the Valve Index and other PC VR headsets, but once again, they're of that age, and I wouldn't really recommend buying them brand new. Generally, for PC VR headsets, I would recommend getting friends who already know VR, or reach out to the groups, which I'll be talking about later, to ask for additional questions about what headsets to get or what secondary, what you can get on the second-hand market. Just a quick side note. Like I said before, VR will need a beefy PC, a beefy computer. You can run on lower-end hardware or just stuff that's like a 3060, 4060, 7600 XT, like those parts. They're perfectly fine, but for newer headsets, they can be pretty laggy, and you got to turn down the resolution to really get a good experience in them. Because newer headsets will require more and more beefy GPUs. Because when you consider headsets, they're more like 4K displays or higher resolution. So beefy PCs are really needed. Other than that, there are also additional hardware that I don't really have here, like eye tracking or face tracking, where the headsets can track where your eyes are looking, how your mouth is moving. So when you're talking to someone, it's your actual mouth movements. If you want to bleep at someone, you can just bleep at them IRL. Or there's also full body tracking. So these days, eye tracking and face tracking, like this option, this is using the HTC Vive Pro Eye. You can see Connie here enjoying a lovely snack while in VR, while in a blow-on-the-clock tower game. You can make the silliest faces in VR with face tracking. This is why a lot of people do want to get these hardware in the future, or at least soon, because it really feels more immersive. You feel like you're really there hanging out with your friends. Oops. Let's not go to the next one. Oh. Or there's full body tracking, which I've also got hardware here in the front. People have used full body tracking to get the full range of motion in VR as you would in IRL in the game. Some people, like Kuda here, uses it and participates in little fight combat scenes or making short films where you're actually moving. You can around or dancing or anything you can really think of using full body tracking. Generally, options out there involve the Vive trackers, of which I have at the front here. You can come and look after the panel, which they will need to use base stations, additional hardware that, once again, is really only with PC VR headsets. It allows you to have high accuracy tracking within VR. Otherwise, you can use Slime VR, which uses the same technology you'll find in phones, able to track where you're moving, but is a lot less accurate. So you will have to recalibrate often when you're in the game. In the end, no matter what headset you get or don't get, it's all about spending time with your friends. Social VR is all about being there with people, being there with friends. I regularly go on desktop VR in these social VR games because I may want to work on my homework assignment while I'm just chatting with a friend, like on Discord, or I want to work on my side projects while people are in VR or not. There may be a stigma for being on desktop because it's just a weird thing people have in VR, whether you have to be in VR or not, or that you have to have a headset to even be on VR chat or Resonate. Social VR does allow you to interact with a vast swath of people. Like I've gotten interviews with friends who helped me through VR, or learned more about technology, learn more about even maths. I was learning, having friends draw the equations in VR and just learn in a social environment. It's a lot harder when you're just typing and chatting through text versus being in there with someone else across the world or across Australia helping you out. One of the main social VR platforms is VR chat. I'm sure you've all heard about it. I'm sure that's why you're here. There is a lot that you can do within VR. As the trailer for VR chat is pretty old these days, about 6 years, but it does encompass what you can do in VR. You can create, you can hang out, and you can play. You're able to create the world around you. You're able to create your own avatars. You're able to bring your persona into the virtual space and be your persona in VR or desktop. There's a lot of avatar bases out there that hopefully can suit your needs. There are hundreds of different avatars out there and thousands more furries who are more than happy to help set your avatar up or help get you started in VR. We've got a big community here in Australia and also abroad as well. But you can do many things in VR, play social games, just chill out. Heck, if you want to even be on a spaceship sailing through the ocean in space, or anything you can think of, someone probably would have already made a world out there for you to enjoy. I think that's what's appealing about VR and just VR chat in general. You can do anything, you can be anything, and there's endless things and endless people for you to hang out with and learn from. To get started, I would recommend start downloading the game, of course, joining the local groups like AusVR Furs or Furality, getting started on one of the meetups during the week or weekend. There's plenty of meetups for you to join and plenty more people who are willing to help out. Same with Discord servers, Telegram chats, plenty. There's a lot you can do out there, and once you get started, there's a lot. And of course, some of the screenshots that I took and photos I took while I was hanging out in VR, New Year's events, they host a regular New Year's events from the con. There's lots of pretty worlds, movie worlds where you can watch shows or movies with friends, or photos and pens scribble on your friend's face when they're AFK. So when they come back, they're wondering whether they've got a moustache on their face. Or there's even silly worlds where you can put your avatar in, where you can do silly little dances. MMD worlds are great fun, and I've had friends that just spend hours finding what new songs people are on, favorite songs. But yeah, you can have bonds, relationships, and make good friends, or even learn more about your friends internationally, which you can't really go and visit. I sometimes joke that VR is a lot cheaper than buying a fursuit, or a lot cheaper than flying over to America or Europe and hanging out with your friends. Not everyone's got a couple $1,000s to really visit friends or hang out to a US con, but VR is a good way to just still hang out, feel like you hang out with your friends internationally. And next, we have the other popular social VR platform, Resonate. Resonate is very different from VR chat, other than still being in VR. Itself, it's a bit more technical than VR. The limitations of VR in that every time you upload your avatar or world, everything you can do is only within that avatar. While in Resonate, it's a pretty open sandbox. You can do anything, you can create anything right within the world itself. You can do sledding, you can do games, you can develop the world while you're in the world. While in VR chat, you have to go into Unity, get off your headset, tweak around stuff, upload it, get back on, back and forth, back and forth. While in Resonate, you pretty much do everything within the platform. You can also collaborate right within the world. You can tweak, you can play, you can tweak, you can add stuff. You can watch videos relatively easily. You can upload photos, share stuff. It's a lot more social than VR chat, I think. But the worlds are limited. It has got a smaller community than VR chat's 100,000, with only a few thousand on Resonate. But I really think if you like to tinker, you like to make stuff, you like people who just play around, know what's the limit within VR, Resonate's really for you. That's why I find it so appealing. I also regularly hop on Resonate outside of VR chat to be able to either socialize or play around or learn things. You can also code within Resonate versus while in Unity you have to do actual script coding, which may not be everyone's thing. So, the Protoflux is a way of being able to code with just tabs, like you were finding Scratch. It's a lot more intuitive for a lot more people that I find than getting behind a screen, just typing all the code lines, if whatever, and being able to just whip out stuff, pasting a screenshot, or bringing a photo that you took the other day, or even a 3D scan of something that you had, or pop a video. It feels a lot more immersive than VR chat, where you have to go and find a video browser, or you have to get off VR, send them a photo on Discord or Telegram when everything's just there. Being able to, like I said, being able to create everything, model everything, insert models, doing something in VR chat, tweak it immediately and save it very quickly without even having to get off your headset makes working on things a lot easier, I find. It's a bit dark on the screenshot on the bottom, but me and Connie are trying to learn a certain equation for my homework that week, and it was scribbling all the equations, explaining things to me in VR, showing me in 3D how the maths work. I guess I find it a lot more fun being able to learn in VR than just text chat or voice chat. Hello. Here's also one of the most widely known games in Resonate. Blonde Clock Tower. It's a social deduction board game that I thoroughly enjoy, that Arito and Delta thoughtfully ported the entire physical board game into VR, turning what is just you sitting around in a circle, chatting and walking around, to an actual immersive world where you can participate and talk with people all around. It's a very immersive way, I think, to play board games or games with your friends all around the world. But people may see VR chat and Resonate as competitors, but I don't really think so. I think both of them can coexist. Both of them feed off each other in what they can and cannot do, while also allowing people to utilize the best of each platform. In the end, both teams want to give people tools to create, to hang out, to socialize in VR that it wasn't really possible, not even 4 years ago. A lot of people have gotten onto VR because of the pandemic, when they couldn't really hang out with their friends, even just the next street over, or they can't even visit friends they've generally hung out with. So VR was a very easy way for people to hang out with. And even now, it continues to be a very, very popular way for everyone to hang out within the community, both furries and weebs and everyone else on the internet. There is no VR lobby without a mix of furries, weebs, nerds, and anyone else in between, or whoever adds the wackiest thing to their avatar that you can imagine. I guess, hey, you never know what people can do until you probably see someone do something crazy with it. On to events. So, Furality is one of the world's largest event, the furry VR event that is hosted each year. They generally host it about mid-year on VR chat, not on Resonate, where tens of thousands of furs go on over the course of the weekend to hang out, to socialize, to go to dealers den, to get merch, to attend panels like this, or to attend meetups from furs all around the world, or later tonight, attend a vast, beautifully built worlds for raves, for hangout worlds. It's really impressive the amount of work that they put in every year, and it's no wonder that they have 15,000, 16,000 people attend last year. It's really big. While Furdu here in Australia only has about 1,500, and American cons roughly the same amount, 15,000. They also have regular events for new players, like the New Players Nights. The next one is actually tomorrow, if you're curious. Tomorrow, 7 a.m., a bit early for most people here, but you can attend 8, 9 a.m., and I think the worlds should still be open. I'll be giving links to Ferrari's VR chat group and the website and Discord so you can join and figure out how to get started. They also host in-person events at major US fur cons where you can go into one of their worlds in front of a screen and you can see physical, a camera into the real world, and real world into a camera into VR. One of the portals they have, I think, got hundreds of people crammed into a room with a line out the door. So people internationally, like here in Australia, they're cons because I can't go, but I can say hi, and VR really brings people closer. The meetups they also have are massive. VR meetups at cons have grown a lot over the past 3 years. Here's the VR meetup at, I think, FWA, or Furry Weekend Atlanta, a con about 15,000 people. I think they fit about 2,000 people at this VR meet alone. So the community has grown a lot over the past 3 years. There's also weekly music events, weekly games events, game nights, board game nights, raves. All the links I've got for you at the end of the panel. There's also international cons nearby, like FurCons in New Zealand and JMOF, the Japanese meeting of furries up in Japan. They have both meets in VR chat and Resonate, covering the board. Otherwise, locally, we have the Peachy Bar. The Peachy Bar is one of the largest Oz VR community, where they have weekly meetups, Monday night meets, Saturday game, karaoke nights, and also just hang out every single night. The instance is open. You can come join. With over 500, I think, members now in Peachy Bar, there's always someone on every night whenever you want to hop on. It's a good community, but it's 18 plus. So here who are underage, you wouldn't be able to really hop on, but there are many other groups and meets that you can join. Otherwise, we also have Oz VR Furs, the largest group here in Australia. They have weekly meets with 60, 80 people, Monday to Saturday, depending on what week of the month it is. Otherwise, we've got other events, all the cons, all of the music events locally, like Floof Doof. They also have in-person events at New Year's. This year, they have it here in Adelaide, so it was pretty cool for them to come here this year. There is also Resonate Down Under, so it's the Resonate group for here in Australia. Pretty good cohort. They always have groups hop on every night, go join one of their worlds, and they can help you set up your avatar in Resonate as well. It's very quick and easy, like half an hour for almost every other avatar. Same with VR chat, but you have to have someone through Discord or helping you out through Unity. Versus in Resonate, you can just have someone in the world with you and just help add your avatar. Very easy. But yes. And also con events, being able to go to cons without having to be at cons. Hop on the VR chat, go to the VR portal that cons will have, and you can still feel like you're part of the event. It's something that I do myself to other cons I don't go, and same with friends, international friends. Come on. Even though with all these events, you might be shy. You may just not feel right about going to such big events. Don't worry. There are also smaller events, smaller cons, smaller meetups that is hosted that can help nervous beginners get started. One-on-ones, something small, not 100-player instances where you just go in and just chatting everywhere. There are definitely many ways to get started. But otherwise, if you don't like a world or you have an idea for a world, this is VR. Pick up tools, very easy, plenty of videos out there, plenty of furries who will help get you started to create your own world. I've got a friend Willow. She didn't want to hang out with some of the worlds anymore, so she literally one day whipped up Blender, made a square, and uploaded it. Just literally very simple get started in VR, and over the course of a year, she slowly added more to the world. Pool table, TV screen, little pool, or a music player. You can do whatever you want in VR, and there's plenty of people out there who are willing to help you get started. Go out, get out of your comfort zone, and go make something. Outside of social VR, there are also plenty of other VR games. You may have seen Beat Saber, Half-Life Alyx, or Boneworks. One of the ones that my friend would not allow me to talk about would be Blatant Sorcery. Basically, you are a medieval mage. You gotta cast your spells. You gotta fight off and defend people in VR. If that's your thing, getting a workout, then VR is also there for you as well. Otherwise, there are also VR modes of other flat screen games like No Man's Sky, Phasmophobia, Skyrim, Fallout, and any racing game like Assetto Corsa Competitor Zone. There are many, many more VR games outside of social VR if you get bored, if you want to try something else out. And yeah, that's all that you can do in VR and more. Anyone got any other questions? Yes? Sorry? Oh, sit on stand, yes. Sit on stand in VR. You can sit in VR, you can stand in VR. Most games will have a sit and stand mode. If you don't want to stand all the time, you want to have a seat, the game would detect that and you can go into, like as if you were standing, or you can move around in a world, in a space to make it yourself more comfortable. Or you can just lie on your bed and just run around in VR and just be a potato if you really want to. Many, many other options. This is a QR code to a Google Doc that I've made to help anyone be able to go and look at all the groups, all the links, all the people. Stuff like virality, how to get started in VR chat, what headsets to buy, like links to the Quest headsets, or any other headset that I've mentioned today, or haven't mentioned on the slides, alongside with how to get started, groups, events, and also games that you can find on Steam. I think that is all for me so far. Any other questions? Yes? So the question here was, if you really want to get into VR, do you want to just get a cheap standalone headset for now just to get started as soon as possible, or save up a bit more for a PC VR headset? I would recommend just get started on just getting a Quest. Quest 3S is basically powerful, but in the old, bulky form factor. The Quest 3 is a lot smaller. It's got a lot lighter, a bit lighter than just the Quest 2, where it's very thick. Because in VR, the most difficult problem is headset weight. If the headset gets too heavy and they pack too much into the headset, your neck gets sore. You can't do much in VR. So currently they're trying to lighten up the headset. I do recommend if you can save up for a Quest 3, get a Quest 3. Otherwise, get a Quest 3S, get something to start with. And once you save up a bit more in the future, you can get either a Vive headset from EB Games or something like maybe the future Decade. Though the Decade is looking like it's going to be 1,200 American or 2 grand Australian. So again, PC VR is expensive, but it's worth the step. Because I started with the Quest 2 before I moved on to an Index, and I find it a lot worth it. It doesn't look as blurry. It doesn't have as many problems that I've encountered when I was using my Quest. But granted, software's improved since 4 years ago now, so Quest 3 should be good. Does that answer your question? Awesome. Anyone else? Yes?
So both VR chat and Risen Light, are they PC titles?
Oh, VR chat runs both on desktop and standalone. Not Resonite. Resonite is only still PC VR. But granted, remember, VR chat has a 60 people team developing the game. Used to be 100, but we all know the tech layoffs lately. While Resonite only has a handful of people working on it full time with many volunteers. It's a very dedicated team. This is why progress can seem slow, but step by step, they're getting there. Resonite has been working on trying to pull themselves away from Unity, which is what VR chat runs on, and the many limitations they currently have on top of the amount of things they can do already. But yes, even with your headset that you have, you'll be able to connect with PC through ALVR, and yes, it should work pretty well. Anyone else got any other questions? We got about 5 minutes left here. No other questions? Awesome. Thank you very much for coming to my panel. Worked on this for the past 2 weeks. Didn't have time because I had my exam 2 weeks ago. So I'm very glad I was able to get everything done in the past 2 weeks. Thank you. And have a good con. Thank you.